A woman wakes up in a hospital bed with dried blood on her hands and no memory of how she got there. Her husband is missing. The police think she killed him. But when she starts hearing whispers through the walls and finding cryptic notes in her handwriting, written in places she swears she's never been, she begins to question if the man she married ever existed at all. The fluorescent lights above her buzzed faintly, like the distant hum of cicadas on a summer night. Cold air clawed at her bare arms, and the sharp scent of antiseptic stung her nose. Olivia Bray blinked into the sterile brightness, her throat dry, lips cracked. Something was wrong. She lifted her right hand. Dried blood caked beneath her fingernails, crusted in the lines of her palm. Her heart thumped, a loud, irregular beat that made her ears ring. She tried to sit up, but a sharp tug at her left arm pulled her back down. In 4-line. Hospital gown. No memory. Her voice came out hoarse. Hello. Moments later, a nurse walked in tall, unsmiling, clipboard in hand. You're awake, she said flatly. That's good. Olivia tried to push herself up again. What happened? Why am I here? You were found unconscious in your home in Camden Hills, the nurse replied. There was a lot of blood. None of it yours. Olivia's breath caught in her throat. Where's my husband? She whispered. The nurse paused. You kept asking that before, too. What do you mean, before? You've been in and out for 2 days. They had you sedated. She scribbled something on the clipboard. The detectives will want to speak with you. Detectives. A jolt of panic surged through Olivia's chest. Her mind spun, searching for something solid. Last thing she remembered, rain tapping the windows, her husband Daniel cooking spaghetti in the kitchen, laughing as he burned the garlic. The flicker of candlelight. The sound of Nina Simone playing low on the record player. Everything after that was a blur. The door creaked open. 2 plainclothes detectives entered, a man and a woman. The man spoke first. Mrs. Bray, I'm Detective Mercer. This is Detective Fallon. We have a few questions, if you're feeling up to it. Olivia nodded slowly, gripping the edge of her blanket. Do you know where your husband is? No, she said. I can't remember anything after dinner. Mercer studied her face. There was a lot of blood at the scene. It was all over the kitchen floor, the hallway, even the bedroom. Your husband's blood type. But no body. No body, she echoed, her voice trembling. You were found locked inside the house, unconscious on the floor, with blood on your clothes and hands. Olivia's stomach turned. Are you saying I did something to him? Mercer didn't answer. Fallon stepped forward. Do you have any history of mental health conditions, Mrs. Bray? Blackouts, dissociative episodes. Olivia blinked. No. I mean, not that I know of. Not that you know of? Fallon echoed, raising an eyebrow. A nurse entered to check her vitals. The detective stepped out for a moment, murmuring in the hallway. Olivia turned her hand over, staring at the blood under her nails. And then she saw it. On her left forearm, just above the crook of the elbow. A series of faint words, carved shallowly into the skin with something sharp. Like a pen tip. Letters, trembling and thin. The blue room nose. Her heart dropped. She had no idea what it meant. But her body did. She began to shake. The words on her arm haunted her through the night. The blue room nose. Olivia didn't sleep. Not because the nurses kept coming in to check her vitals, or because the detectives paced like vultures outside her door, but because every time she closed her eyes, she saw flickers. Not memories, just flashes. A hand on a doorknob. Blue paint peeling. A muffled scream. The smell of bleach. By morning, the 4 was out. They were discharging her pending further investigation. A nurse handed her a plastic bag with her belongings, torn jeans, a gray t-shirt soaked in dried blood, a phone with a dead battery, and her house keys. As she stepped outside, the sky was a flat, steel gray. An unmarked cruiser idled by the curb. Fallon offered her a ride home. You shouldn't be alone, the detective said. Olivia looked at her, jaw tense. Are you worried about me, or afraid I'll destroy evidence? Fallon didn't smile. Both. The ride back to Camden Hills took less than 10 minutes. It was a quiet town, the kind people came to when they wanted to disappear into normal. Tree-lined streets, trimmed lawns. Halloween decorations still up in late November. Olivia's house stood at the end of a cul-de-sac. Blue shutters. 2 stories. White siding. From the outside, nothing looked wrong. But as soon as she crossed the threshold, the air shifted. It was like walking into a different reality. The blood had been cleaned, at least most of it. But the smell lingered. A faint iron scent beneath the lemon disinfectant. Fallon stayed downstairs, making a call. Olivia wandered upstairs, her legs moving as if they knew something her mind didn't. The bedroom was undisturbed. Bedmate. Candles melted down. A photograph on the nightstand. Her and Daniel at Coney Island, laughing, wind in their hair. She stared at it, her fingers trembling. Then she heard it. A creak. Not downstairs. Inside the room. Her breath caught. She turned. Nothing. But something felt off. The far wall had always seemed too thick. Daniel once joked it must have been a building mistake from the 60s. But now, as she pressed her palm against it, she felt a faint give. Her fingers found a seam. She pressed. The wall clicked. A panel swung open. Behind the bookcase, an old, narrow door. Painted blue. Her skin crawled. She didn't remember it. Not consciously. But her body reacted like it had been here before. The door was locked. She rattled the handle. Nothing. Then she saw the number scratched above it. 317. The same 3 digits burned into the back of her phone case. She ran downstairs, found her phone, turned it on. Battery at 2%. She entered the code. 317. The screen unlocked. Only OneNote app was open. OneDraft. Just a single line of text. If I go missing, the truth is in the blue room. Don't trust him. Her legs buckled. She sank to the floor. Don't trust who? She whispered. Footsteps echoed on the stairs behind her. Fallon's voice, too calm. Olivia, what did you find? But Olivia didn't answer. Because suddenly, she wasn't sure if the detective's voice was real, or if it was part of the memory she couldn't yet reach. Fallon crouched beside her, voice low, professional. What did you find in your phone? Olivia didn't speak. Her fingers trembled as she locked the screen and slipped the phone into her pocket. I need to lie down, she said quietly. Fallon didn't push. I'll be downstairs. The detective left her alone. Olivia rose to her feet and stared again at the door hidden behind the bookshelf, the blue room. Her stomach turned. That door shouldn't exist. But it did. It had been there the whole time. She tried to make sense of the note on her phone. Don't trust him. Him who? Daniel? The man she married? The man she now couldn't find? Or someone else? She walked into the bathroom and stared into the mirror. Her face was gaunt. Hollow. Something dark sat behind her eyes. Something she didn't recognize. She leaned in. And that's when she saw it. A faint smile. Not her smile. Her mouth didn't move, but her reflection smiled at her. She stumbled back, heart racing. The mirror suddenly smeared with condensation, though there was no heat, no steam. And then, a whisper. So soft, it almost wasn't there. Go back. Olivia spun around. The bathroom was empty. Dead silent. She backed into the hallway, clutching the railing. Downstairs, Fallon paced in the kitchen, speaking into a radio. I need to be here alone, Olivia said as she descended the stairs. Fallon narrowed her eyes. Not safe. I need space, Olivia insisted. Please. Fallon studied her face for a long moment, then gave a curt nod. I'll wait in the car. 10 minutes. Then I'm coming back in. The front door clicked shut. Olivia didn't waste a second. She ran to the bookshelf, felt along the side until the panel clicked again. The blue door loomed in front of her, paint chipped and dark like an old bruise. Her hand hesitated over the knob. She didn't know what she'd find, but she had to look. She turned it. The door opened with a groan. The room beyond was small, windowless, lit by a single, buzzing bulb hanging from a cord. The walls were lined with corkboard, every inch covered in pinned photos, notes, receipts. And in the center, a single chair, facing a mirror identical to the one upstairs. Olivia stepped inside, heart thudding in her ears. She moved closer to the wall, eyes scanning the photographs. Every single one was of her. Sleeping, cooking, crying. Some taken through windows. Some from inside rooms she didn't recognize. A shot of her in the shower. She stumbled back, bile rising in her throat. Then she saw a label beneath one of the pictures, handwritten in red ink. Subject, Bray. Repeating cycle initiated. Memory reset successful. Her breath hitched. More notes. Delusion intensity escalating. Mirror hallucinations recurring. He no longer responds to her. Adjust parameters. A cold horror crept over her. This wasn't just a room. It was an observation chamber. And someone had been watching her, documenting her, studying her. Her knees gave out, and she dropped to the floor. Her fingers brushed something beneath the chair. A man's wedding band. Daniel's. As she reached for it, something moved in the mirror. Her reflection didn't follow. It just stood there, watching her with dead eyes. And then it smiled again. Olivia backed away from the mirror, the wedding band clenched tight in her fist. Her reflection, no longer mirroring her movements, stood motionless, grinning like it knew a secret she'd buried so deep, even she couldn't find it. She tore her eyes away and stumbled out of the blue room, slamming the hidden door shut behind her. The air in the hallway felt thick, electrified. Her skin prickled like she was being watched. She had to leave. Find Daniel. Find someone who wasn't lying to her. She rushed downstairs, just as Fallon stepped through the front door, eyes sharp. You went in, didn't you? The detective asked flatly. Olivia didn't answer. Fallon's gaze dropped to the ring in her hand. That's Daniel's, she said quietly. I found it in the blue room, Olivia said, her voice breaking. There were pictures. Notes. Someone's been watching me, studying me. Fallon nodded slowly. We know. What? That room was discovered during the initial search. We didn't tell you because we didn't want to trigger another episode. Olivia froze. Another what? The detective stepped closer. You were diagnosed with dissociative amnesia after the accident 2 years ago. You don't remember because your mind won't let you. Olivia staggered back. No, that's not true. It is. Your husband, Daniel, was a clinical psychiatrist. He was treating you at home after you refused inpatient care. You relapsed. Started hearing voices. Seeing things. Then where is he? Olivia snapped. Fallon's expression darkened. That's what we're trying to figure out. Do you think I hurt him? Fallon didn't answer. Olivia's breath hitched. She turned and fled out the door, Fallon shouting after her. She didn't stop. She ran into the cold street, rain beginning to fall, her feet slamming the pavement like drums of war. She didn't stop until she reached the local library. Inside, she made her way to the public computers, logged in, and searched Dr. Daniel Bray, Camden Hills, Maine. A single result. Obituary. Her lungs seized. She clicked the link. Dr. Daniel Bray, 38, clinical psychiatrist, passed away in a car accident on November 12, 2023. Survived by his wife, Olivia Bray. He had been treating patients privately for the last several years, specializing in trauma-induced amnesia and dissociative disorders. Her hands went ice cold. Daniel was dead 2 weeks ago, but she just had dinner with him. She heard his laugh, saw his face, and then something even worse hit her. The obituary had a photo. It wasn't him. The man she remembered, the one she called Daniel, was not the man in the photo. The real Daniel Bray had light hair, thin face, a gap in his front teeth. Her husband had been dark-haired, broad-shouldered, no gap. Her knees buckled. She didn't remember her own husband. She remembered someone else, someone pretending to be him. And whoever it was, they'd been living with her for months, sleeping next to her, feeding her lies. Olivia turned to the reflection in the black computer screen. Behind her, just for a second, she saw a figure standing by the library shelves. A man, with her face. And he was smiling. She didn't scream, didn't move, just stared at the figure by the shelves, her same jawline, same eyes, same fragile mouth. Only masculine, taller, stronger, dressed in gray, and grinning like he knew something she didn't. Then he vanished. No footsteps, no sound, just gone. A librarian walked past, oblivious. The world kept spinning like nothing had happened. Olivia staggered to the bathroom, locked the door, and braced herself against the sink. She splashed cold water on her face, trying to breathe, trying to anchor herself in something real. But her reflection didn't follow. It just watched her, lips twitching into that same crooked smile. She backed away from the mirror. No, she whispered. Not again. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. You're getting close. Stop digging. She stared at the screen. Her chest burned. She didn't reply. Just left the library and walked, head down, soaked in rain, all the way back home. Fallon's car was gone. The house loomed in silence. Inside, everything felt wrong. The furniture looked the same, but it was like someone had moved it a few inches, just enough to unsettle her. The light bulbs flickered even though the power had been fine that morning. She went back to the bedroom, peeled up the rug, and started pulling at the floorboards. Something told her it was there. She didn't know how she knew, but her hands moved with certainty. And then a click. One board gave way. A metal box hidden in the crawl space. She pried it open. Inside were files. Medical records. Photos. Cassette tapes. A thick folder labeled, "Oh, Bray, Phases 1 to 4. Her own name. She opened it with trembling fingers. The documents weren't psychiatric notes. They were protocols. Initiate memory fracture via stage trauma. Phase 2. Introduce false spouse narrative. Monitor bonding. Phase 3. Blue room conditioning. Record responses to mirrors. She felt bile rise in her throat. It wasn't therapy. It was experimentation. And she was the subject. One note, written in pen, stood out. Subject has begun to reject projected identity. Termination protocol under review. Her hands shook. She had been gaslit. Not by some individual. Not just by a man pretending to be her husband. By a program. A system. A human experiment. And whoever ran it was watching her even now. Then she saw it. Buried at the bottom of the box. A photograph. Black and white. A group of people in lab coats. She didn't recognize any of them. Except one. Her own face. Smiling. Standing with the staff. As if she'd been one of them. Before whatever they did to her. She dropped the photo. Her vision tunneled. Her mind recoiled, like it had slammed into a brick wall. She began to hyperventilate. And then, a knock at the front door. 3 soft taps. Like fingertips. She froze. Then a voice, muffled but familiar. Olivia, let me in. I found something. It's about us. Daniel's voice. The wrong Daniel. He was back. But now she knew. That wasn't his real name. And this time, she wasn't opening the door. The knock came again. Olivia, please. I'm not here to hurt you. His voice was soft. Almost tender. Just like she remembered it from those quiet nights. His arms around her. His fingers brushing her hair. His breath warm on her neck. But that voice belonged to a mask. And she was done pretending. She backed away from the door, her breath caught in her throat. The folder trembled in her hands. Pages fluttered to the floor, each one a weapon. Proof that her mind wasn't broken, it had been hacked. Another knock. Firmer now. Then silence. Footsteps circled the side of the house. She grabbed a letter opener from the desk. It felt laughably small, but it was all she had. She crept to the kitchen. The back door creaked. She held her breath. And then he stepped inside. The man she had once called Daniel. Same dark hair. Same deep eyes. Same calm, practiced face. But now she saw it. The way his expression stayed just a little too still. The way his eyes scanned the room like a soldier checking corners. Not a husband. A handler. Olivia, he said carefully. I had to come. You're unraveling faster than we expected. She spat. He looked almost regretful. You don't remember. Not fully. But you were part of this. You agreed to it. You wanted to forget. I never agreed to be a prisoner. You weren't supposed to be one. But something fractured. The conditioning didn't hold. He took a step closer. She raised the letter opener. Don't. He stopped. Hands raised. Voice gentle. Please. You're not sick. You're not crazy. You're unfinished. I found the files, she said. I saw everything. You were watching me. Lying to me. He nodded slowly. I was helping you. Guiding you through the stages. You designed the program, Olivia. You built it. She shook her head. That's not true. You were a neuroscientist. A pioneer in memory engineering. The experiment was yours. You volunteered first, wiped your own identity, created a false past. To test if self-imposed memory rewriting could treat trauma. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. A recorder. He pressed play. Her own voice. I authorize phase 4. If I resist the narrative, escalate emotional triggers. Use Daniel replica if necessary. She staggered back. No, she whispered. That's not me. It was. Until you started seeing the edges. Tears welled in her eyes. Then why do I remember being hurt? He paused. And for the first time, something cracked in his expression. You were hurt. That wasn't part of the experiment. Her blood ran cold. You had a twin, Olivia. A brother. Identical. Dissociative identity disorder. Institutionalized for most of his life. He escaped last year. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. He found your program. He inserted himself. What are you saying? You built the simulation. But he hijacked it. Her knees buckled. She clutched the table. You're telling me he was pretending to be me? Daniel nodded. Which means. Her voice broke. The hallucinations. The smiling reflection. The figure in the library. Her twin, living inside her constructed world. Manipulating it from the inside. And worse. Maybe still there. Right now. Watching. Controlling. Waiting. She didn't sleep. She sat on the floor of the blue room, surrounded by files, tapes, and memories that didn't belong to her, but somehow did. The wedding band still sat in her palm, a symbol of a life she had never really lived. Morning light filtered through the cracks in the boarded windows. Dust danced in it, slow and lazy, like nothing had changed. But everything had. Across from her, the mirror remained. Unbroken, patient, waiting. She'd been lied to. But the worst lie came from within. She hadn't forgotten who she was. She had buried it. A tape recorder rested on her lap. One of many. She pressed play. Her own voice, clear, clinical, detached. Subject, Olivia Bray. Final entry before memory lock. I can't do this anymore. Not while he's still alive. He knows how to get in. Knows the codes. He's inside now. I feel him, sometimes in the mirror, sometimes in my dreams. We were born together, but we were never the same. He was always the shadow. I tried to erase him, but maybe he erased me first. Her breath hitched. She reached for the next tape. This one was older. Dustier. Labeled in unfamiliar handwriting. She played it. A man's voice. Soft. Childlike. Hear me, Livy. I know what you did. You made them take me away. You said I wasn't real. But I was the only one who knew you. You made them fill me with pills and put me in white rooms and take my name away. But I remember. I remember the closet. I remember the rope. I remember what they did to us. You forgot because you wanted to be normal. But I kept the memories. I kept you. And now, I'm all that's left. She dropped the tape like it burned her. Her heart pounded. The mirror flickered. Her reflection stared back, but now it wore his eyes. Not hers. He smiled. Hi, Livy. She staggered to her feet. You're not real. I'm as real as your guilt. You're dead. No. I became you. You made a machine to erase your pain, and I crawled inside it like a virus. You used science to forget. I used it to live. The reflection stepped forward, out of sync with her. A separate being now. Flesh and glass. You're not Olivia anymore, he whispered. I am. She turned, ran for the door. But it was gone. The room shifted. Walls bending, humming. Machinery behind them. Wires like veins. The simulation breaking down. She screamed. Then silence. Darkness. And then she opened her eyes in a white room. A real one. An observation window across the wall. Doctors behind it, writing notes. A woman in a lab coat leaned in. Olivia. She couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Can you tell me your name? She blinked. The woman turned to the others. Integration appears incomplete. Secondary persona is still dominant. Her throat worked. A sound escaped. A name. But it wasn't hers. It was his. Jonathan, she whispered. The doctors nodded. Into phase 5.